Hello, Max. Welcome to Gift. Please introduce yourself, name some hobbies, and if this is your first time on Gift.
This is not my first time on Gift. My name is Maxwell. Um, I like doing art and playing games. Um, and my presentation is something I made in school. I'm showing how creativity can be seen in schools by presenting the project I made. This is my presentation. Um, it is creativity in art. We think the strongest always survive, but what happens when they don't? Even apex predators can be vulnerable sometimes. And that can and should change how we view nature and the ecosystems around us. The species meant to challenge the idea that being at the top of the food chain makes something untouchable. It shows how fragile ecosystems are and even how one weak link can affect everything. My drawing shows a human carrying an injured wolf, reversing the rules of predator and protector. It highlights how even the strongest creatures are still vulnerable and how fragile the balance in nature really is. The piece shows that even one mistake can take out even the highest predators. Process and journey. First, I wanted to show strength and vulnerability in the same image. Then I used a dark, injured wolf to contrast with a human figure helping it. Lastly, the green tones represent nature, but also give it a slight uneasy feeling, teaching me how I can use color. What I learned how to show a deeper meaning through symbolism, and I improved at using color to create mood, my skills. And some mindsets that changed were that small details can change how we view art. Reflection. Nature isn't as simple as survival of the fittest. And this project made me realize that nature isn't as simple as anything we normally think of it. Sometimes it really is just survival of whoever didn't trip that day. And it changed how I think about strength. Not it being invincible, but it's something that can still fail. And it's something that means you just persevere through struggle. Strength doesn't mean invincibility. Everything plays a role, and everything can fail. And that was my presentation. This was made in school, and it is supposed to show how we can use creativity in art.
Wow, that was really amazing. I really enjoyed how you really looked through every single aspect of your drawing. It kind of shows how like paintings you can have like deeper, way deeper meanings to them. And I think earlier on, either Julie or Jake was hosting a group of people who are spreading art, and that was pretty similar to this, Max. So one of them suggested like having notes where you can write your own perspective on such things. And I think that would apply here as well. Because like if you have these kind of forms of art and you really want to express it in your own way, like if other people can like see it in different perspectives. So how do you think that you can create art that matches different perspectives as well as your own?
That's a really hard thing to do, especially since people can see it in different perspectives. But when I tried to make it, I tried to use different colors and all I know of color theory to try to invoke a feeling that you would then use to base your actual view of the art off. So I was using some greens to make it look a little uneasy to help guide the viewer to a more different answer than what's normally relevant to conversation. because a lot of people see nature as something of survival of the fittest, even though that's not necessarily true.
Maxwell, can you turn off your screen share so we can actually see you? Ah,
Right, Jake, do you have any questions for Max?
y- y- yes, I have a question, and I thought it was very interesting. You're talking about the apex predator and the situation. For people who don't know what that means, can you explain the term apex predator?
Apex predator is a term that represents the animal in at the highest of the food chain that kind of keeps the balance over all of the animals below it and those below them. Um, but at the same time, that animal also can't survive without them. So it's the strongest against them, but the weakest without, in a sense.
And can you give an example of things that went wrong because of the lack of apex predators?
Um, Let me think about that for a moment.
Well, I'll tell you. In Connecticut, where I used to live, they have a lot of deer, and then they had coyotes and wolves, and the coyotes and the wolves were the apex predators. And people said, "Oh, we like deer. We don't like coyotes and wolves." And so they got rid of the coyotes and wolves. And then what happened is the deer population exploded because there was nobody hunting the deer. The deer then ate all of the plants, all of the trees. The forest literally died because the deer were eating everything. And then they said, "Oh, we have a problem." And now they are literally trying to bring coyotes and wolves back into Connecticut.
That reminds me a lot of the Yellowstone elk explosion, which
Yes,
when wolves were removed from the area, the elk population surged and overbrowsing aspen and willow trees, which caused erosion and reduced habitat for beavers and fish.
yes, very true story.
Yeah, like the fact that nature has survived for millions of years means that like without any edits, it works. Like if something's been going on for a long time, then it works. So our artificial edits, like removing certain members of a population, like if it's worked before, then by removing that population is bound to not work again. Like we're artificially destroying it. So
It's very good. So Maxwell, what are you going to do with your art?
Um, what do you mean by that?
Well, are you just going to keep it to yourself? Or are you going to share it? Are you,
I might be able to put it in chat. I don't know if I have it on my
well, I
computer, but
don't know, but I'm just saying, not with me, but with, I
uh,
mean, you presented here at Gift. That's wonderful. Okay.
yes.
What else are you going to do? You've put a lot of time and effort and thought into this. It's great. Don't keep it in your bedroom.
Well, I don't have any next steps for it at the moment, but when I see something that I can present something like this at, I will present it because it is it's a good piece of art to present and it has a lot of meaning behind it.
Okay, great. Well, that was very interesting. Thank you.
yeah, it was like missing. Julia,
Max,
you never know.
Max, do you think you could show a couple other pieces of your art since we have another 6 minutes? Do you mind?
Uh, Maybe I don't have
If you have
much
anything handy.
art on. I don't have any art of mine on my PC, but
Oh,
Do
do you have any art on it that you admire a lot of somebody else's?
no, I don't download art on my computer. Um,
if you have any physical art, you might want to bring it in front of the camera.
rock.
Oh,
Oh, it's hard to see it.
That's the only physical art I have near me. I can talk a little bit about my school, which is how I got to the point of doing this. Um, my school is School of Humanity, and it is a school that puts first innovation, creativity, and actual learning instead of reinforcement. So instead of shoveling information in your brain and gluing it on, it actually helps you learn the topic and it lets you develop your own views on it. And it doesn't just give you a set fixed way to do a problem or set fixed way to find an answer to a problem. So you won't be restricted to feeling like you're being shoveled in information. Instead, you're allowed to be creative and you're allowed to do projects like this. Like we had a whole week where we did nature as art and we made a different art piece each time.
it's really cool. Is this like a in-person school
It is a online international school.
Oh, wow. It's quite interesting. Thank you, Max. It was a wonderful presentation again. Your presentation skills were also flawless, so good job on that.
Thank you.